Well, basically, it's because my family were very much into witchcraft anyway. My grandmother was a witch, traditional witch. Um, and in those days, basically, um, in my grandmother's days, it was something that was very hidden. So, you know, it wasn't something that everybody talked about in those days. Nowadays, it's much more in the open. But I was kind of brought up with all this kind of thing. And my grandma was a very professional tarot reader too. She was very, very good at divination. So really, witchcraft has been very much part of my life for as long as I can remember. And it wasn't long before I started to realize that I could use my own will and do witchcraft just simply because it came from me. Um, so that was before I started to uh, read books and meet other people. And I went through many phases with witchcraft, and I experimented with Wicca too. I was part of an Alexandrian coven that had hived off from Maxine and Alex Wanders. Um, so that was in the 80s that I experimented with that, and was in the Alexandrian coven. So um, I found that it wasn't really for me, in the sense that um, I had a very much more left-hand path leaning. I didn't realise that at the time. I found out about the left-hand path much later, but I realised that it was back to basics for me, because traditional witchcraft is very true. Traditional witchcraft is very left-hand path. Well, I suppose not really. There isn't a difference, except I guess that there is more ceremonial magic that is used with magicians, and I use that too. Witchcraft is very much based with nature and the earth, and using the natural forces rather than using more ceremonial stuff. Although, of course, there are rituals that are done in witchcraft as well. Um, but because I'm very close to nature and always have been, and my great passion is nature and animals, I found that the truth of my magic is connected with the forces of nature, which is basically what witchcraft should be about, or is about, and certainly for me. Because nature is a very powerful magic in itself. And so really, I don't see that there's a great deal of difference other than that. But when you talk about, true witchcraft, and you find out who the Lord and Lady really are, I mean, Ipsissimus Flowers, writing under Edward Thorson, did a wonderful book called The Witchdom of the True. And this traces the Lord and Lady back to the Norse. And of course, the British Isles were very much invaded by the Norse peoples, and brought a lot of things to the island. And we had Druidry as well, which was very much a magical link to witchcraft as well. And the Lord and Lady are Freyr and Freya in Norse. In witchcraft, we see them as Lord and Lady of Nature, and Dr. Flowers traced that back to this, the finding out of who the Lord and Lady actually were. Because in witchcraft, we've always called them the Lord and Lady, but we didn't use the name you know, Freya and such. We just use Lord and Lady. And of course they are known as the Lord and Lady of nature. They're the principles and natural forces of nature who we call upon to do magic. And, you know, the stronger the love and the connection you have with nature, the stronger your magic is. It's quite simply that. So I suppose you would say that not all magicians have that connection to nature, although I must admit that most magicians who I have met do have at least a reverence for nature and some sort of connection. But when it comes to witchcraft, it's a force inside of you that is truly connected to the Lord and Lady or the principles of nature, and it's a hugely powerful force. And so for me, it's a natural way to do magic. For me, it's very natural, it comes naturally, because I love nature so much and because I find that connection so easily. And I can, you know, get in contact with the forces of nature and things like when we're talking about the fae or the fairies, people think of them as little things with wings that you see pretty paintings of, but of course they're not that. But you know, that's just something else. That's another stream of it. But this connection, this strong connection with the land as well, the land that you love, the land you belong to, and there's huge power in the land. You know, I suppose you know, you could quote Mr. Crowley, and he was right. But it is about making things happen, basically, that you wish to happen, and finding that connection where you can actually make that happen. And when it comes to witchcraft, is that connection and the force that I was already talking about in nature naturally runs through you, and you connect with it so easily that you can bring about changes quite easily by using that force and using what we call spells and incantations. And you know, you can also use things like singing the runes, being connected with the runes and things like that as well, can be very much part of how you do your spells. And it's very strange sometimes that when you connect, you just start singing the right songs, and it might not be rune songs. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you've learned some rune songs, or the songs of nature come to you, and you look for the signs and the symbols of the changes often in you know, what animals may visit you, or so it's a kind of shamanism as well. But definitely, you know, when you want to change something or bring something to you, you know, this is how you just plug in and do it. And also, so, it's about sometimes, because this love of the land comes into it. I'm very fortunate that I live in Avebury, in Wiltshire, UK, and it's a huge Neolithic stone circle, and it holds immense magic and energy of its own. So when you actually go into this stone circle, especially at times like full moon or such, or at midnight, at any other time when everybody else is not around, you can feel the power in the stones and in the actual ground of the land that you're stood on. And these forces just work through you. You allow it. you channel it and use it. I suppose I don't know if I've actually had a verse moment, because I've always been a person, which most witches are, whereby I don't really care what people think, say, or do. It doesn't really bother me, because I'm just me in my own right. I don't think I've had a worse moment, really, in that sense. I guess there are some people who can become very prejudiced about you once they know something about you, especially in the way that you practice, maybe, because I have had people who are actually Wiccans who see very black and white, in the truest sense, whereby they think that if you're doing left-hand path work, you must be, evil. They get very muddled up, some people, and think that there's something evil about it. But true witchcraft is just what it is. Everything is wonderful. It's given me everything. It's helped me to find myself and be myself and come into being in the truest way. And what else could you ask for? And it's brought much pleasure, in the sense that it's opened me up to this strong connection to the land, and strong connection to animals, birds, and everything around me. And that I get the greatest pleasure from them, just being near them. And I can speak their language, so to speak, and they speak to me. I have flocks of crows and things like that. When I go out for a walk, they just follow me around, and they're always speaking to me. They tell me things all the time, and they let me into their little secrets. Like the little crow that I rescued recently. I didn't realize until that little crow was so close to me, and it told me many secrets, because they speak like little goblins, and not many people know that they have a little strange language of their own. They don't only call, which is what we hear when they fly over when we're out in the countryside. They have a special language. They taught me. And it's not about observing. I mean, part of it might be, but it's not just about observing body language, etc., to know what the animals are meaning. It's a kind of telepathy between you and them. It's what I call a true connection. Oh yes, I mean, it's not just about using your magic to gain what you want, etc., which is fine. If you want to bring things into your life that you desire or need or whatever, that's fine. But that's not the essence of it. I think that what it can bring to people, truthfully, I hope anyway, is this true connection to the land, true connection to nature and all the creatures, because it will make people wake up and realize how important they are to us. I've been in the Temple of Set for quite a few years now, been a ceremonial magician and done ceremony and such like. Left-hand path, as I said, I assume was following the left-hand path, and I've had some wonderful experiences and got a lot from that. And also the Apophis Club has given a lot of wonderful information and interesting things, as has the Temple of Set, and I've learned a lot, and I've expanded as a person a great deal. And ceremonial magic is wonderful as well. And I think that the same as the witchcraft rites, when you do these sabbats and such likes, it's a wonderful way of connecting. And if you enjoy the sort of psychodrama and the theatre of it, because it's very powerful in itself. Well, I think they bring wisdom, and they make us grow. You know, in the Temple of Set word Kefa, it's through those connections that we start to grow and fulfill and become much more whole as people and magicians. And really, you need to do both. You can't just, you know, wisdom is very important. Wisdom with understanding is very important. Yes, yeah, I've had quite a few books published on the paranormal and ghosts and folklore, especially of the West Country where I live. So I've had that, and I've had books published on witchcraft spells and such like. So it's mainly based on that, and also I completed a couple of novels, but they are, again, although they are novels and they are fiction, they're both based around the occult, and one is about vampires too. So basically, that's what I write about, what I know about and what I feel something around, which is paranormal, witchcraft, folklore, fairies. Although I haven't written anything on fairies yet, but all those kind of things, and it usually involves the folklore is very good because it connects again with the land and with the creatures on the land. I think that you know, I think a lot of witches and a lot of magicians are quite solitary people in a lot of ways and spend a lot of time alone. And I think that's good, because I think being with oneself, you learn a lot about you. And in doing so, you become wiser. But interaction with others is a wonderful thing. It is necessary. Because you grow through that as well, this interaction you have with other magicians and witches. You learn so much. You have a lot of interchange between you and those people. And that is wonderful too. It makes you grow as a person and as a witch or a magician. So both, I would say, in a way, because you do need time alone as well. You can work alone magically, and you can work in a group magically. So you can do both. Well, yes, I suppose if I had to say anything about witchcraft in general, and being a magician as well, I would advise people to really seek out what it is and what it means before they choose to follow any particular path. Though it is a good idea sometimes to join something and then experiment and see and such like. But I think that thinking about what it is and really knowing what it is, and I think sometimes being guided by those true feelings inside rather than what you read or what someone else says, because if you are a witch, you will know you are.